Corey DLG of Nerd Thug Radio here with James Robinson, one of my heroes of writing. Just absolutely, I talk about Starman all the time on the show. He's nice enough to give us a couple minutes here at ComicPalooza, so I'm going to waste the time and talk to him. Talk about, I don't even know where to start here. I know you probably hate talking about this because I started at the very beginning, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, writing that, and any comments, time, you want to start from there, or what do you want to do?
Well, I mean, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is not necessarily a well-regarded comic book adaptation. It's just, and it just became what it became. I know when I wrote it, the original script, which was as utterly different as you can possibly imagine, I was very proud of that script. Ultimately, what came out was perhaps not as good as people wanted, or represented the comic book in the way that they wanted it represented, and I completely understand that. So that was, a bittersweet experience, but honestly, I do meet a lot of people that say they love the film, so you never know.
Oh, total popcorn flick, though. I know Sean Connery liked it, that's why I agreed to do like 10 of them or something, so... Well, he might have agreed at the beginning, but by the end he said he would never make another movie ever, and that was the movie that killed his career. So, by the end of it, Sean Connery and the director hated each other. I didn't realize that, but you know what? Thank you, because I was kind of tired of him at that point anyway.
Okay, yeah.
So Malibu, Ultraverse, and all that stuff, that was kind of the beginning, I guess, comics-wise, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I've done a couple of graphic novels and such, but yes, in terms of a sustained run, I guess I had done Grendel Tales too, which was 6 issues at Dark Horse, and a couple of Terminator miniseries. So I had done a little bit, but that was the longest run I had done until I started Starman, actually, at DC. And it's a series that will never be reprinted, I don't think. So it exists as a comic book and only a comic book, but it's one I'm very, very proud of. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was a really cool kind of time in comic books, but yeah, from what I understand, there's weird creator rights, and pretty much no one's ever going to see that again.
Yes, that's right. The contract was so when it was bought, when the Ultraverse was bought by Marvel, it was for market share, not really for the characters. So they didn't really do anything with them anyway. But the contract that we signed is so favorable. The contract we signed with Malibu is so favorable towards the creators that I think if they published any more, there are other creators would say, well, wait a minute, I'd like the same kind of... It might open doors for other creators that have created things at Marvel to, question their contracts. So it's all legal stuff.
So that brings us to Starman, like just absolutely one of my favorite discoveries. I didn't know about it when it was coming out, but the run wound up being just amazing with the different omnibuses, and then it got reprinted. So clearly there's a huge fan following to kind of generate the omnibuses, because I don't recall DC really doing anything like this in their collected editions for anyone else. What kind of spurred that birth of the omnibuses?
Well, honestly, it was a guy. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. He no longer works at DC, but he loves Starman, and he kind of pitched them doing like this ultimate thing with all the extras and the literally anything to do with Starman. And they allowed him to do it. So I'm blanking on his name, but he's become a very, very talented photographer now. So he put the series together, and since then they've done more of those for like Vertigo books. But yeah, this is probably the only one for DC characters that pops to mind at the moment. So it was just nice to see all the stuff collected finally. When they did the trade paperbacks of Starman, for some reason they didn't do the final half of the Times Pasts. So there was some stories that if you just got those paperbacks, you didn't get a chance to read. So it was nice that they were all put in and all in the right order, and all of the other stuff that I did, those strange little side comics involving Jack Knight or aspects of Starman universe, it's all been put in one place.
And so I know you talked about it in the letters that are opening all the different omnibuses, but how much of Jack Knight do you feel like is you, like the different eclectic kind of little things about him?
Well, definitely the collecting aspect, especially back then, and just the guy sort of like hopefully growing and maturing and finding his place. a lot of the sort of references are all just things that would pop into my head from my own experiences. And then, of course, when Tony was drawing it, Jack looked very much like him too. So it's really sort of a bit of both of us put together into Jack Knight.
So I remember I've read somewhere a story, it might not necessarily be true, when you disintegrate Jack Knight's body and then they regrow him. Tony was no longer the artist on the book, and he kind of came back and commented and asked if you were mad at him or something because you got rid of the tattoos that were important to Tony on Jack, right?
Yeah, but yes, and he was upset, but at the time I believe he thought that it was done out of spite, and actually it was that I had this cliffhanger, and it was only as I was writing the next issue that I was like, oh my goodness, his tattoo, he wouldn't have the tattoos. So then I had to explain that, but in hindsight, though, I think in a way it was for the best because Tony had sort of passed the torch, so it was an interesting, like, symbolic way that Jack sort of became a new person with a new artist. But it wasn't intentional. It was just an accident that I then had to fix and make work.
Yeah. So then you kind of you did a little bit of time at Marvel. Anything you want to talk about? I know you started the Invaders series that kind of was, 2014, 2015, is that right?
Yes. Well, actually, I started the Invaders. I had big. It just didn't sell, but I had plans. My mistake, I think, with that book was not planning it with the idea with an eye on the back door in case it didn't sell. I just assumed it would, like a naive person. So I had all these plans for, like, the Kree Eternals War and the invasion of the Martians from Killraven and things like that I never got to do. But the series I'm actually very proud of, and it's a shame that more people didn't read it, was Fantastic Four. I think I did a really good job on that, and I had worked with Leonard Kirk on a thing called Face to Face, a two-face 8-part series.
Oh, that's cool.
But I worked with him again. I mean, he's a genius. I loved working with Leonard Kirk, so I'm actually quite proud of that series, and that's something I like very much. And then, of course, I've just done 6 issues of Nick Fury with an artist called Aiko that are very inspired by spy movies and also by Steranko and, like, classic comics. That's very interesting, and I'm very happy with that. And I think when it's all in one volume, it will be. Thank
you very much, James. I appreciate your time today. And as always, this is Corey DLG with Nerd Thug Radio, and this is James Robinson.
Thank you very much.